If you haven't seen this movie, do not worry, there will be no spoilers in this video. Once the box office numbers are in, and once the future of the Monsterverse has been speculated on, and after all has been said and done, then it'll be time to scrutinize everything. And I will also be using clips in the background that don't spoil anything, because I literally had to avoid thumbnails and Instagram posts for a whole month. And I don't want to ruin anyone's experience. But, long story short, this movie is exactly what the trailers promised, and more actually, and I will elaborate on that of course. But before we get into the review, looks like most of you watching this video are not subscribed to me yet, so please, if you enjoy the content, tail swipe that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. Now, on with the review. I want to start out by saying that I've only seen the movie once at the time of recording this, but I'm gonna make sure that the next time I watch it, it's on IMAX, and I highly recommend that you do so as well. This movie was literally made for IMAX, as confirmed by the director Adam Wingard, and he's not lying. You've got to see this on the biggest screen you can. It's a visual spectacle, it's action-packed, it's entertaining, it's fun, and I kid you not when I say that in my opinion, out of all the Monsterverse movies so far, ironically, it's the craziest one yet, the one that ended up having the best characters in the Monsterverse. Like I've said before, if Bryan Cranston was the lead of the first movie, it would have been a different story. While Skull Island never figured out what it wanted to do, and it's tonally very inconsistent, King of the Monsters has way too many characters and none of them are explored. We never really understand why Vera Farmiga is evil, and Charles Dance was unbelievably wasted. And a lot of people didn't enjoy Millie Bobby Brown and co.'s side quest following Godzilla, while juggling Team Kong's storyline at the same time. And you can tell that Wingard and his two writers knew this, and they set out to fix it, because the characters you see in the trailer are the ones you get in the movie. We follow one single small group of characters and we view everything from their perspective without jumping between storylines. There are no global conferences discussing what to do with the monsters like in so many Godzilla films. There's none of that here. Instead, Kong, as expected, is pretty much the lead of the movie, and his storyline is very engaging. I gotta give props to the crew for crafting very long sequences where it's only the monsters and no dialogue, taking advantage of the fact that those sequences involve ape kaijus who can have human-like expressions, emotions, and sign language without any subtitles and still manage to make us understand everything. They really pulled those off well. Kong's dynamic with the young ape was quite wholesome of course, and seeing him doing all this stuff instead of slow stories or boring characters or unexplored characters, or jumping back and forth between one story and another is exactly the improvement over the previous films that I expected to see, and I think that both audiences and even critics will appreciate that. Godzilla himself is as badass as ever, although I think that he wasn't particularly explored as a character as much as in the previous 3 films where he appears, because in those 3 films and the Apple TV Plus show there's a lot more exposition and world building around Godzilla, as well as his actions showcasing more of his personality as an intelligent creature, but there's not much of that here, and that was definitely a negative. He obviously gets to do a lot of badass stuff throughout the film, and getting to see him in various forms was very interesting and unique. In fact, this is probably the movie where Godzilla goes through the most visual and physical changes. And, unsurprisingly, this is the movie with the most amount of fights, and they are as fun and creative as you can imagine, with a few surprises along the way as well. And I'll sum up the human element of the story like this. Rebecca Hall's character was a huge improvement over the previous film. I always thought that she was too stoic in that movie, and I always wondered why. She should have come across as way more worried for Gia as her mother, and that's exactly what we get here. Because her dynamic with Gia, who was the best human character by far last time, their mother and daughter relationship, along with Kong and Zuko's father and son relationship, are by far the heart of the film. It's probably the best human relationship in the Monsterverse movies. I was glad to see Brian Tyree Henry back. I thought that he was probably even more fun than last time, and Dan Stevens was a very welcome addition. Similar to Chris Pine in Dungeons & Dragons, he's fun, he's witty, but remains cool at the same time because he steals at least a couple of scenes. There was no need to turn him into a bumbling idiot to make space for the girls to shine like in every single piece of crap to come out of Hollywood these days. I'm telling you, there is none of that shit here. The girls here shine, and the boys here shine. This movie never lectures you, it's never political, and is probably what Michael Bay's Transformers should have been. However, I will say that the third act felt kinda rushed, but I will obviously not gonna get into the specifics of that, and I will wait until I talk about this film at length. And as far as the characters go, I'm not expecting everyone to come out of the theater knowing all their names, this isn't Lord of the Rings, but I'm also not expecting audiences to come out saying that the humans were annoying or anywhere near as uninteresting as in the previous installments. But like I said in my previous video, this movie was a simple and honest attempt to entertain people, and I think that the movie will do just fine. Whether it's to end the monster Monsterverse, or to set up a potential trilogy that Adam Wingard has publicly admitted that he hopes to make. But one of the final trailers openly says 10 years ago it began, and it also says it has all led to this. That sounds like a goodbye to me, but let's wait and see what happens. I never really figured out how to get into Scar King and Shima without spoiling anything, so I'll leave that for another day. But to cut a long story short, this movie is as fun as you'd expect, and in my opinion, it's the one that does the best job at striking the balance between monster action and human drama in the franchise. What I'm going to do over the coming weeks is that I will make my Monsterverse retrospective part 2 talking about King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs Kong, and then I'm going to make part 3 focusing on this film exclusively. As always though, thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and drop me a comment on what you thought of the film. In the meantime, I hope to see all of you around here very often, but for now this is me, signing off.